I'm Angel. This is Fit and Free 50. Fitness is freedom. And I'm here to do just a quick little seated stretching session. So I thought I would invite you to join me if you feel like it. I encourage you to either follow along and listen to your own body or do your own thing. That's perfectly great too. The idea is just to move a little bit more, explore this human movement machine that you live in called your body. Do a little letting go of stress. I'm going to take a couple of breaths just to root myself into the center of the earth, bring my attention into my sits bones, feel my connection to the supporting ground or floor or earth beneath me, hang myself from the center of the universe. Take a couple of deep breaths and let go of stress. Let's add some shoulder shrugs to that breathing. So breathing in and tensing up. And then just letting go, shaking it off. I'm going to do that again a little more intensely. Breathing in. You can even bring the hands and knees and everything in, tensing up, pulling up in the pelvic floor, and then just blowing that off, letting the arms swing, shaking out the shoulders, shaking out the head a little bit. I'm going to do that one more time. Breathing in, tensing up, bringing my shoulders and ears into shoulders, clenching fists, clenching pelvic floor, bringing the knees up toward the chest, and then just blowing off that stress, letting it go, shaking it out. I'm going to do just a little gentle twisting, bringing my right hand onto left knee, left hand, give myself a nice pat on the sacrum, and then setting that in close to the body and using those hands for torque and support, twisting through the spine, giving all those internal organs a nice wringing out, a little hello, and then unwinding all of that from the top to the bottom, shaking that out again, and then bringing left hand over to right knee, right hand to give a little sacral pat, and then setting that in close to the body and twisting the other way. Again, using hands for support. Just noticing how the two sides differ, giving all those organs a nice little hug, wringing out, unwinding all of that. Shake the shoulders out a little bit, shake the hands out a little bit. I'm going to come straight up with the left arm, keeping that left hip well rooted, and leaning over to the right. Give a nice side stretch. I'm using my right hand here for some support, just to keep from lifting that left hip off the ground, but really to focus on rooting that left hip and pulling through the left arm to get a nice stretch to this whole side of the body. And then coming back up to upright, bringing that hand down to set on the side for support, and bringing the right hand up, and again rooting the right hip this time into the ground, pulling with that right arm, getting a nice side stretch through that right side, using this left hand for support. And coming back to upright, let's shake that out again. I'm going to bring the feet out forward, bouncing those knees out. Again, rooting myself into the sits bones. I'm going to bring the hands up and do a forward fold gently from the hip, so not collapsing in the spine, relatively flat back, and aiming my chin for my toes and pulling those toes back just a little bit for an additional stretch in the backs of the knees. Sometimes it helps to really bounce those knees around, stretch them out a little bit. Pardon me. And then I'm going to round the spine now, aiming my forehead for my knees, just curving the spine gently, not forcing it at all. I'm just relaxing into that, giving that a couple breaths to just kind of ooze a little bit more into that rounded position. And then I'm going to pull again into that flat back position a little bit deeper now, still aiming my chin for my toes, using my hands on my legs for a little bit of traction and really pulling from the hips, and then again rounding from the waist, aiming my forehead for my knees. You can even pull back in the abdomen a little bit, pull up in the pelvic floor, really rounding the spine. And then again with a flat back, aiming chin for toes, pulling with those hands a little bit from the hips. Giving that a breath or two to release and relax into. And then one more time, rounding the spine, aiming forehead for knees. Getting a little deeper into that stretch. And one more time, chin for toes, really getting into that forward fold. And then I'm going to reach out past those toes and come on up into that seated position again. Let's do just a little passive twisting, keeping both sits bones rooted in the ground or the earth and twisting through the spine. Just noticing again how the two sides are different, going to the other side, trying to really root that opposite hip or sits bones into the earth and coming back to center. Let the arms float down and shaking out those hands again. I'm going to bring one foot up at a time, so bringing the left foot in close to the groin. I'm trying to see if I can get in a spot where you can mostly see me. And then I'm going to forward fold over that leg while pushing this opposite knee down. Use my hands on that right leg for a little torque. So I'm pushing the left knee down and I'm pulling the body over that right leg. And again, I'm going to alternate a little bit, aiming my chin for my toes with a flatter back, and then a little bit more rounded spine, relaxed a little bit more, forehead for knee, and then chin for toe, and forehead for knee. And then coming on up on that side, releasing those legs. Scooch this way, just for variety, and bring this right leg on in close, pushing this hip down, rooting both sits bones into the earth, and folding the body over this left side now, using again my hands for torque on that leg as I aim my chin for my toes, and then rounding the spine, aiming forehead for knee, and again chin for toes, just alternating that a few times, realizing you can't really see me, and rounding the spine. I'm still really working to push this knee down. That's really where a lot of the work is, air quotes. Chin for toes one more time, knee for forehead or forehead for knee. You can try the other way, knee for forehead. It's kind of a little bit less of a stretch though, but it is playful. And I do encourage that. All right, I'm going to bring both palms of feet or soles of feet together. Do a little silly foot clapping. I encourage silliness any chance you get, playfulness. And I'm going to bring these feet in close to the groin. And again, bring my body up onto the sits bones. And now pushing both knees down toward the ground and pulling with my hands on my upper body to pull the chest through the shoulders. Trying to stay nice and long still through that upper body and really pushing those knees down. You can play with one and then the other or bouncing if that feels good. Sometimes I use my elbows on my knees to push those down a little bit more. Just encourage you to play with that stretch. And of course, remember to breathe and smile, whatever else you're doing. Or hold your breath and scowl and let me know how that works out for you. The choice is always yours. I think you're worthy of some smiling and breathing personally. That's why I encourage that. It tends to work out a little better. I'm going to do just a little balancing while I'm down here. So bringing my awareness onto those sits bones and just playing around, balancing. I'm going to work the abdominal muscles just a little bit while hanging on. You can hang on to the toes or hang on to the legs or even hang on to the floor, although I find that actually more challenging than holding my heavy legs up. But the point is, I'm just kind of playing with rocking ever so subtly on that sacrum and tailbone area and just seeing where the point of balance or loss of balance is. If you feel like getting a little more playful and active, I encourage you to try out some spinal rolls. You can do them very subtly, like so, or you can do them more rigorously and come on up into a shoulder stand and all the way up into a stand on the other direction. I kind of like to stay somewhere right about in between those two extremes and just playing around, massaging the back on the ground. Got a rib injury right now, so that actually kind of hurts, so I'm not going to do that too many more times. I'm going to come on down and just rock back and forth. Actually, that's a little bit painful too on the rib cage. Just encourage you to play in the body. Notice how the body differs day to day, how it differs side to side, how it responds to your playfulness and movement, and just exploring and listening. Give yourself a little love. Give those knees a little love. I'm going to come on up. Oh, yeah. Feeling that rib injury from that position. I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet today because I like to do that. I usually do check in with myself at least twice a day, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times. I encourage you to find opportunities for checking in, and I hope that you will subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell. I'll be popping on with some reminders. I have another channel with even more reminders and a little more variety on there, but in any case, however you do it, I hope that you find ways of remembering to give yourself a little love, a little movement, a little playfulness, a little more fitness, and a little more freedom in your life. That's my wish for you. That's my wish for me. That's my wish for all of us. Thank you for stopping by. Ciao for now.